Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to take a look at the astrological energies of Uranus conjunct the North Node in Taurus, along with Mars joining the party in early August 2022. Now, I did part one of this topic for you on June 27th, 2022. And this is part two, where we'll discuss these energies even more. But I have to warn you that I don't remember everything I said in part one. So it's very possible that I'll be repeating myself, but I trust that's what we're needed to understand, as these energies are going to be very big, dynamic, chaotic, rebellious, and also liberating. So we'll be discussing this in today's podcast episode. For those of you who are new to this podcast, welcome. I release episodes twice a week. Every Monday is a special topic in astrology, whether it is the current astrological energies or a big theme. We do a deep dive in the Monday podcast episode. And then on Wednesdays, we look at the weekly energies and what we're moving through right now. And for those who listen to this podcast regularly, thank you for joining me. Welcome back. And as I've mentioned, I've been doing this podcast for over 10 years now, and it's really exciting to see so many people stepping into this world of astrology that also connects us to our unity consciousness. Astrology is a very big system of energy that we have access to, and the more we're able to understand the energetics, the cycles, the timing, the themes, the more that we're working with these universal flows, the more we're stepping into our power, and we're also activating more of our unity consciousness that reminds us of our connections to each other, as well as our connections to the universe. And so astrology is a beautiful system of consciousness. It helps us understand what we're going through, what is coming up. It helps us detach and understand it's not personal, or it's not just you. There's bigger cycles unfolding that we're feeling and tapping into. And this can help explain some things that are going on for us, as well as how to make the most of it during every cycle. And on that note, you have your own personal cycle of energies that you move through, which is connected to your natal astrology chart based on when you came into your human body and activated your sovereign entity as an independent being. Then we also have the collective energies that we're all working with. And that is what this podcast describes, are the collective energies. And then I guide you into looking at how it may be working with you more personally in your own natal astrology chart. So in this show, as we're talking about Uranus conjunct the North Node in Taurus, also conjunct Mars in Taurus, we're looking at the 18 degrees of Taurus in your chart, which everybody has because you have all 360 degrees of the zodiac in your chart. And 18 degrees is where this energy is being strongly activated in Taurus. So I have a video for you on YouTube called How to Find a Degree Point in Your Chart. If you need assistance identifying where specific degrees are, please check out that video as I take you through a few visual exercises in how to identify a particular degree point. And this degree point is important because of how it's a conjunction with Uranus, North Node, and Mars, which means it's very big energies happening in a particular area of your life. And when we have a heads up about that, it helps us understand what could potentially come up, what some of the themes and possibilities may be. So it helps you understand where a lot of change will be activated and unfolding. So we're going to have this energy of the conjunction with Uranus conjunct the North Node beginning July 20th, 2022 and moving into August 2022, early August, in fact, where we also are going to have a very strong Aquarius full moon at 19 degrees, squaring this point in your chart, which means the energies are starting in July and they go into August. And then we're going to experience it again when Uranus returns to 18 degrees of Taurus in 2023, specifically March and April 2023. So this can help us understand some of the timeline of these changes, meaning something comes up very powerfully in July and August that can be very surprising. It can be a breakdown, a breakthrough, a break up of energies that are no longer working for you, that are no longer needed on your path. And because Uranus is associated with cosmic intelligence and universal wisdom, Uranus brings in a very clear energy that we can't deny. There's something about Uranus activating more within you, within your own connection to cosmic consciousness, that's meant to liberate you, awaken you, set you free from something that is no longer correct or in alignment with where you're going next. And that's because the North Node is about our growth, what we're opening up to, the new path, the new direction. Uranus is also at a new degree point here at 18 degrees, meaning Uranus hasn't been here for at least 84 years. So there's something opening up that is new, and it's meant to set you free. And there's something too about the energy coming in quickly, like a lightning strike, if you will, but it's going to have a sense of showing you what really matters in your life. So this energy begins July, August, and it lasts into the first quarter of 2023. So think of that as a good 9 months or so of the energy shifting, changing, really perhaps even creating some type of chaos or uncertainty in your world, but it's directing you forward in a new way that you're ready for. And I feel like what we're meant to see is where we haven't fully stepped into more of our own worthiness, what we really value and want in our life, what we are ready to claim that perhaps we didn't think we could have. And so this Uranus is going to work with some of your unconscious belief systems that have been holding you back, or perhaps have been operating in the background and not showing you what you're really worthy of, what you're deserving of, what you're here to experience in this lifetime, even if you thought you could never have it, or it would never show up, or you'd never experience it. This is a very powerful energy in Taurus, which is about how you value and love yourself. It's also how you create stability in your world. It's the foundational energy that we build our lives on. And so that's why this energy can be so disruptive, because you could have a huge turnover in your life. You could have something you're totally done with. You want to be free of it. You're no longer wanting to participate in it. It served its purpose. And now you're ready to go, whatever that means. It's sort of like you could feel that you're just done with something, even if you don't know what the next step might be. Now, this energy, because it moves so fast, you could have a very fast and unexpected insight in July and August around what you're ready to change, what you want to change, and where you're ready to set yourself free from anything that has been too much about what other people have wanted from you. And that's because not only are we working with the energy of Taurus, but we're also working with the opposite point, the South Node in Scorpio at 18 degrees. And Scorpio is where we share resources with others, where we've merged energies together, where there's an overlap and things are intertwined and meshed together. And of course, this can be healthy. There can be healthy things in our lives where we're working with others, or we have joined things together because we're on the same page. But there's also the lower expression of Scorpio where we've unconsciously given our power away, or we've stayed in something that is now decaying. It has that energy of it's no longer has a life force to it. It doesn't have much going on. It feels like a heaviness, like a sense of dread or something that you're no longer feeling energized by. And you could feel like, well, I agreed to this, or I'm involved in this, or I committed to this. And there's something here where the universe is saying, break yourself free. And as I'm saying this, I'm really strongly feeling the energy of soul contracts that are complete, because I'm seeing how the energy of Scorpio can be the vows, pledges, promises, things we make to others, whether it is overt and it's in writing, or whether it's something that we've carried through across multiple lifetimes that we've felt a responsibility to manage or a responsibility to keep it going. I feel like this energy is really clearing out anything that has expired or is expiring that you've already been feeling and sensing. And I feel like the universe can now give you a new direction, a new way to go, or something else that is liberating, but it's based on what you truly want, which is Taurus. So it's almost like this interesting seesaw or teeter-totter where the energy of Scorpio is being released, and it can be done so with gratitude. It can be done so with a sense of appreciation for what you've learned, what you've been through. You could release yourself. I'm getting the visual of a ball and chain, but I feel like a chain or something that maybe you felt trapped in or caged in. And it does have that dungeon energy as well. I mean, that's part of Scorpio, is the underworld, the underground. And it could have been like an energetic dungeon or something that you felt you had to stay in because of promises, vows, pledges, energetic commitments from other lifetimes. And this is really interesting because, of course, it's going to be very unique to each of us, but it feels like there's something here that you're meant to see was a success. Meaning it's not like it was a failure or you didn't do something or live up to your commitment or what you thought you would do. Like, I feel this as a success. Like, let yourself go in a place of recognizing what you've learned, how you grew, what was important to you, and to know that when we complete something from a place of peace, it can really smooth over any of those torn edges or raggedy, uncomfortable parts of something ending. Because I am getting the image of something being almost ripped apart because this energy moves so fast, and because there's so much on the Taurus side of your chart where, again, the North Node, Uranus, and Mars are showing up. There's such a strong activation in Taurus that there could be something that almost rips you away from a part of your life or a part of yourself, rips you out of a fear. Okay. That is part of what this energy is showing you. It's ripping you out of a fear that has maybe kept you captive or kept you limited or kept you held in a place that involved other people's energies that have been very much about fulfilling a duty or an obligation. And now it's being ripped away because I feel like there's some fears, uncertainties, or unconscious energies that you've worked through. And we could look at this too in terms of how we had a very powerful eclipse in Scorpio that perhaps activated a lot of fears. That was in May 2022. And it could have been too that you got to the heart of something, you worked through it, you saw something else operating sort of at that bottom of the barrel, like something happening unconsciously within you has been brought up to the light. And when you think of how Scorpio is about alchemy and Kundalini rising and also the phoenix rising from the ashes, well, that phoenix rises up to set itself free from wherever it was floundering or wherever there was a sense of being controlled by something outside of you. So that feels very important to look at what has felt like it's had power over you or it's been controlling you, and it's something that you've had to be in and again see it through, show up. The Scorpio energy also brings in our emotional fears and a sense of even an addiction, obsession, or emotional tie to something because of a very strong fear, a fear programming that I feel could show you where you've been afraid to do something on your own, where you've been afraid to go your own way, or maybe a sense of, well, I don't know if I'll be supported, or I don't know if this can really happen. So it can have these very deep parts of ourselves being stirred up. And the lower expressions of Scorpio also involve envy, resentment, jealousy, comparison, competitiveness, being driven to prove oneself by outside forces, wanting to be in control, wanting to dominate, behind the scenes power dynamics. There's a lot here that operates in the background in Scorpio. And so it's looking at what within yourself maybe has been tapping into those energies or feeling those energies. And now I feel like the universe is saying that's no longer your truth. That's no longer what you need to carry. You can set yourself free from that, because this Uranus in Taurus is very much about a liberation from something that's no longer in alignment with being in love with yourself, a sense of really loving who you are, loving and feeling strong in who you are, knowing how the universe sees you as worthy, lovable, valuable, and wants you to feel that way in a particular area of your life that maybe you've been disconnected from. So there's a reconnection here to these Taurus energies, wanting you to ground in and be in alignment with a higher frequency of self-love. And I think this is part of the process. This is part of what we are moving through starting in July, going into April 2023. What does that look like in your life? What does it look like when you stand up for yourself, when you stand stronger on your own 2 feet, when you feel very grounded and clear in your energy, when there's a sense of, I don't need to do anything I don't want to do for other people? What are you doing for others that ultimately is limiting you? And of course, there's many ways this can play out and show up, and it's very different even within a family dynamic, right? Or within a work environment, or perhaps something in your community, or something that you need to take care of because you're responsible for it. But what this is showing you is that you're being set free, which also is a gift to everyone involved. And that's part of how this energy, I feel it dispersing, is that even when something, I feel it breaking, even when something breaks, like it breaks open, then it shows everyone their choices. It shows everyone what they can choose next, what they're going to decide or work on or select. And there's something here where it's about setting yourself free so that you're in your own power. And this is such a big theme right now on the planet, is how we're returning to our sovereign power, our sovereign energy fields, being in alignment with that. And that's truly one of the best gifts you can give the collective at this time. But also with this Uranus energy, there can be rebellion and chaos and tantrums. And you could experience that from people where you're making a choice or doing something and they're like, I don't like that. I don't want you to go. I don't want you to choose that. And so on and so forth. And I feel like what you're seeing is also whether or not certain people in your life or in your world really want what's best for you, or if they really want what's best for them when you play a certain role, when you're involved in a certain way. And so this can be very illuminating, where you can see, oh, they need me to do this for them because they're afraid of that, or they're not taking care of this. This can also be in reverse, where you are looking for someone to provide or do something for you so that you don't have to do it for yourself, or you don't have to take care of it, or whatever the case may be. Of course, these scenarios can be reversed, but what you're looking at is where your energy is entangled or wrapped around someone else's or something else's, where you're in a place of the energies have deeply connected or overly connected, but now it's an issue or a problem. And Scorpio is a relationship energy. Scorpio is where we go into really knowing ourselves so that we can open up and know another. Where Scorpio is about what's happening within your own psychology, what's happening within your emotional world, what's really going on for you below the surface, and then how you share that with others. And Scorpio can be about that emotional intimacy. It can be about how you show up and connect with others in a personal way. It can also be where we go to therapy, counseling, other types of professionals who help us dive into these parts of ourselves. So there can be strong relationship patterns that you're seeing in yourself at this time. You're seeing where you want to break a pattern, be done with something, where it's no longer healthy for you. Your energy is no longer connecting at that same frequency. You no longer need something in a relationship that maybe you previously thought you needed. There can be these addictions and obsessions that come up too with Scorpio, where if you've been overly focused on someone else or overly focused on something in your life, you could say, I don't want my energy to go out in that direction. Sometimes that Scorpio energy can be a leak, an energetic leak, where you don't even realize what you're attached to or where the energy is going. It's very unconscious. And now the universe is saying, come back to yourself, stand strong in who you are, what you want. Stand strong in what you want your life to include or what you want your life to be about. And look who still shows up for you. Look who still is around when you're not doing it for them, or you're not overly providing, overly giving, or again, vice versa. Look at how you can stand up for others when they need to go in a new direction. Look at how you can still support someone even when they want to make a new choice or go in a new path. So this energy has very strong breaks in it, okay? So that's important to look at in ourselves. What are you breaking energetically? Because the energy is going to show up in the physical world, and that's because Taurus is an earth sign. And the earth signs are all about what we can see and touch and taste. Taurus is about the five senses. Taurus is also about how we're able to create a life foundation that is correct for us. So with this energy coming through, you could feel like you're breaking into a part of yourself that you haven't met before. You're meeting something new within yourself that you want, that you need, that you desire, and it creates some kind of breakdown that leads to the breakthrough in your physical life. So this is a very big theme, meaning people are going to be making some big changes in July and August. And when Mars gets to 18 degrees of Taurus, August 1st and August 2nd, there is an acceleration, an amplification. This is where there can be more anger and outbursts. This is where someone could be really pissed at what you're deciding or really upset. How do you handle that? How do you still stay strong in that alignment? Because I'm seeing it as a cord that's actually going up to a cosmic energy field. And it's interesting because I see this energy cord is connected to something much bigger than this timeline. Okay, so, So now I'm seeing it as a cord that's going right up to a promise you made yourself in this lifetime. So it actually feels like a direct cord going right up to a part of your soul's energy field that is reminding you of what you want to do on your own terms in this lifetime. And that lightning bolt of insight, that download, transmission, message, even if you've been feeling anticipation, I'm actually feeling that very strongly here. There's been some kind of anticipation building up that you've been sensing, you've been aware of, and maybe you've been feeling it, especially in your body, in your mind, in your emotional self, perhaps even in your fear body, where there's things that you're afraid to do next, or maybe uncertain about the next choice. I'm feeling this energy goes right up into a part of your soul's essence that is reminding you that you were ready to make this choice and this decision in this lifetime to set yourself free from anything that's gotten too heavy, too emotional, too intense, anything that has taken you away from your own life force, anything that's drained you because it's expiring or it has expired. And I feel like there's something within your own knowingness that is aware of this. And then we look at, well, how is this going to change my life or my consciousness, my world? How is this going to change something in my reality that maybe I wasn't planning for, or I wasn't aware of? And I feel like there's something here where the cosmos is giving you that direct communication that setting yourself free is part of your soul contract to yourself. It's directly connected to being in your power, awakening to what it means to love yourself even more, to stand on your own 2 feet, and to feel that no matter what you're choosing, the universe supports you. And I am feeling like this goes back through lifetimes where you weren't free to leave. You weren't free to go your own way. You weren't free to be done with a certain group, a certain relationship, a certain friendship, a certain connection. I mean, it feels like there's something here that, going back to that visual of the ball and chain, it's like, oh, I've just been carrying this through so many lifetimes. I'm just used to this ball and chain. I'm just used to dragging this behind me. And then here comes the universe with a lightning bolt to that chain and saying, now you're free, just like that. And this is where people could have a sense of the change is happening too quickly. I don't know if I want you to do this. Like, I'm actually seeing as soon as that cord is cut by a lightning bolt, now I'm seeing somebody jumping forward and like grabbing at the ankle. Don't go. It has that energy of what is being opened up and released here is bringing up other people's fears, other people's desires to unconsciously keep a connection going. It feels like there's something unhealthy about it because I feel that in these dynamics that one person is more evolved than another. Or this could be within a group. This could be within a family. I mean, take it as it resonates, and perhaps this needs to be thought through a little bit more. But it's often the more conscious, evolved person who moves on first. And that's because you could be the leader of a soul group. You could be the one who is just more in tune with the energies, with your own growth in this lifetime. It's often the more conscious, evolved person who makes changes in a dynamic. And then what it does is it stirs up what everyone else is feeling, their own fears, their own doubts, their own things they haven't looked at yet. You could be the trigger or the catalyst for others to look at their own fears. But that's on them, right? To move through and to look at that. And again, this could be in reverse. This could be where someone is making a decision that creates turmoil for you or that brings up a lot of stuff for you. And that's your catalyst or your trigger to then look at, well, what are my fears here? Where have I been holding myself back? Where am I afraid to stand on my own 2 feet? I'm also seeing this financially. I'm seeing these energies of where you've had commitments and financial obligations to others, things being separated out, the energies being split, and the energies needing to be brought back into each person's individual energy field. So there could also be big financial changes at this time. In fact, count on it. We've already been in this energy where the financial markets are fluctuating. I know that Bitcoin has crashed. Other things have been going up and down. There's a lot that's unstable. That's going to continue. That isn't going to just go away. And there's something about this energy where you could be making different financial choices, whether those are about your investments or your long-term planning, whether that's about assessing the type of risk you want to take. I am not a financial planner. I am not giving you financial advice. I'm just saying that the energetics of the financial markets are going to continue to deeply fluctuate. So what do you need to do that feels more solid for you, that feels clear, that feels like it gives you a sense of stability, even if it's only in your own energy? And I think too that what we're going to continue to see how inflation is going to affect us at a daily level. It's also going to bring up more of the resources that we have on the planet and how we're operating with them. Okay, so I realized I was talking about relationship dynamics and then I went into all this financial stuff because I feel like the bigger picture is things are splitting apart, and it's about bringing all energies back into yourself and to look at what you need to stabilize yourself. And there's something here too about back to basics. The basics of what you need to live a good life, the understanding that you have the power and the control in your own life to do what you need to do, and that ultimately everyone is responsible for their own sovereign energy. Everyone is responsible for their own livelihood, their own finances. That's something else that could come up, is that there could be very big financial things that come up in relationships, in the world at large, at work, that reveal people's belief systems around money, that reveals whether or not they're truly in a mindset of prosperity and abundance, or where they're operating out of fear, of lack and scarcity. There's going to be more separations between energies. And that's one of the biggest energy signatures that is unfolding, is that there's going to be big separations. And this is going to reveal more of where you're at and how important it is to keep going your own way, to trust your unique path. I feel this is a very powerful activation for light workers, starseeds, those of you who are here to do things new and different on the planet. There's something coming in that's meant to liberate you from anything that you've outgrown at a soul level, and it's meant to set you free. And that's part of this direct communication from your soul frequency, is a reminder of what you're here to do on your own terms. And I feel like what this leads to could at first be really messy and perhaps dramatic. And it's almost like this big emotional response comes up. Something around if you were to decide to leave a situation or leave a job or leave a relationship or leave a marriage. I mean, this is the energy again of making a new choice. It feels like what is coming up is it's showing you what energies are not connected to your own truth, your own soul mission, your own soul purpose. Because so many light workers and starseeds, you've been really dialing into that over the past number of years. You've been very inquisitive and open and curious and show me, what's my mission? What's my purpose on the planet? What am I here to offer or provide? How can I be of service? And there could be things that you're really understanding that you can't deny in yourself. And that's another big part of this, is there's something you can't deny to yourself. And that's what's really important, because the other part of this is that with the August 11th Aquarius full moon that happens at 19 degrees of Aquarius, it is going to bring up what you understand is important for your individual energy and where the energies have been perhaps held back by others. And I feel like this is a very important part of this Uranus conjunct the North Node, because we have the Aquarius full moon at 19 degrees of Aquarius. Then a few months later in October, Saturn in Aquarius goes back to 19 and 18 degrees of Aquarius. Saturn stations direct at 18 degrees of Aquarius on October 23rd. And it highlights what we haven't been able to fully step into because of commitments, responsibilities, and obligations to others. And this could be the tension where you could feel like you really want something, but you have to take care of something else, or there's other things in front of you that you just can't walk away from, or you have to be mindful of it. Saturn in Aquarius brings our attention to those commitments and what we need to honor, what we need to see through, what we need to show up for, even while all these other energies are pulsing through us to break free and to move forward. We dealt with this a lot in 2021 when we had Uranus squaring Saturn 3 times. Now there's something here where the focal point is still on the Taurus parts of your chart. The strongest energy is in Taurus. So Taurus is going to dominate, but it's almost like the Saturn in Aquarius and the Aquarius full moon energy signatures are making sure that whatever is shifting and changing for you, you're not being too reckless, you're not being detrimental. I'm also feeling like you're not creating more karma that you have to work out later, whether that's later in this lifetime or later in another lifetime. So we're being held to a certain point of responsibility with the choices we're making and where we're going. And that's going to be part of the energy management here, where for all the ways you want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, or all the ways you want to make a very big, drastic change, the universe is saying, but you have to be mindful of your responsibilities here. And that's actually what's going to serve you the best. And I'm seeing it as, instead of maybe creating some kind of storm or some kind of reactive, rebellious energy, I'm seeing it as, how can you cut something cleanly? And it looks like using scissors on a piece of paper where you can glide the scissors forward and make a clean cut without creating more damage. How can you make big life changes without creating more damage, or any damage, or creating something that you have to then clean up later? So this is where we're understanding the power of our energy and our decisions. I also feel like this is how we don't recreate karma with situations, people, groups, family that we're moving away from. And that's where the responsibility comes in. That's where it's essential and important, where you could have a vision of where you want to go, whether that's in your career, in your self-growth, in your life, in whatever is calling to you next. You could already be tapped in to that vision. And now the universe is saying that part of what you're working with involves energetic boundaries, clarity, responsibility, and detachment, meaning detaching yourself responsibly from energies you've outgrown, that have expired, energies that are no longer connected to your best and highest good, while also offering that same energy to others. Because life changes can be done in a way that allows everyone to benefit or prosper or grow. But of course, that would come down to their own energy field, their own intentions, their own belief systems. I'm feeling too like there's going to be people who are just pissed, and that's their choice. They can choose to be pissed, or they can choose to hold on. I mean, I'm feeling that energy as also showing you a separation of where you're not on the same page with others, or again, where others aren't really supporting what you need to do for yourself. Again, maybe this is you. Maybe you're not really supporting what someone else needs to do for themselves. I'm seeing this too in a family dynamic where, let's say, a child who is fully grown, an adult child, is making some decisions, and you're like, I don't like these choices. I don't like what they're doing. I don't support this. But this is also where you have the opportunity to see and understand they're on their own journey. This is their own life. They have free will to choose what they want to choose, to follow what they need to follow. And it's looking at how we can manage our expectations, obligations, and what we want other people to do, but we really don't have that power. And we're really not in that place of control, at least at a soul level. So if someone is doing something, making a choice or going in a new direction and you don't fully support it, then that's on you to work through your expectations, what you're looking for, what you're wanting, to bring the energy back into yourself and allow it to be something that you can consciously elevate or raise to change the energy dynamic between the two of you. Again, this is going to be different for everyone, and I just wanted to illustrate a point that we could have something operating within us that we think is kind and loving until someone does something we don't want them to do, and then we maybe want to exert power or do something that engages in a control dynamic. And I feel like what the universe is saying is that there is this acceleration of energies unfolding where people are ready to step into more of what is true for them. How good are we at allowing that? How are we able to allow each person to go on their journey or follow their path? How good are we at times of managing our emotional responses around that? Because it's very human of us to go up and down and have all these emotions that are triggered when a big change happens or unfolds. So we're looking at some of the underlining ways we had false perceptions of control or unhealthy power dynamics with other people. And then the universe is saying, now bring it back to yourself. Bring it back to what you are in control of, which is your own energy, which is your own choices, your own path. Bring it back into what do you need right now, and you might surprise yourself by what opens up or what comes through. And so as other soul contracts are falling away, I actually feel drama around this. Like it feels like it could be significant. Like if people are caught off guard, which is a Uranus energy signature, by the way, the universal energetic life force coming through and bringing you clarity on what you want. It's sort of like telling everyone, I'm selling my house, everything I own. I'm buying a school bus. I'm going to convert the school bus. And I'm going to be on the road for the next 5 years. It's some kind of like change here that other people might be caught off guard. Like, what? I never knew you wanted to sell your house and get rid of everything you own. And then it stirs up the ripple effects of that change for them. So we're all going to be both creating and receiving these ripple effects. All right. So people in your life might be making big changes in July and August, even into next March and April. And you could be feeling those effects. It could feel ungrounded at times and very surprising. But what you're meant to practice is how everyone is on their own journey. And there's certain things that each person needs to do in this lifetime that's right on time for them. And you probably do not want to consciously create karma around that energetic decision or those choices. So there is always the practice of remaining mindful, of being clear, being very clear in where your energy goes and how you can work with it, as well as being very honest with yourself around what is not your choice or your energy to manage. Now, the Taurus energy is about the resources on this planet, and I have shared other messages with you in the Galactic Center, which is where I offer channeled messages around some of the bigger world and global changes that we're moving through, as well as what we are experiencing here in our everyday lives. So yes, inflation is going to continue. Limited resources is going to continue. It's an important time to be aware of what you need, what is essential to you, and to operate from a place of trust and abundance in the universe, meaning this is not about creating fear. This is not about reverting to scarcity consciousness. This is not about going into a place of, oh no, I go to the store and the shelves are empty. The universe is actually redirecting us to think of things in a new way. How else can we create resources for ourselves? How else can we live abundantly or step into energies that support us that are outside the norm? universal energies know that there's unlimited potentials. And Uranus, especially Uranus in Taurus, is wanting us to be more creative, new solutions, new possibilities. And with this conjunction to the North Node, there could be things that open up that reveal a new pathway, a new solution, something that you can do for yourself based on self-reliance and self-sustainability. And we've been seeing this, especially since early 2020, the concept of victory gardens emerging again, right? Where now we're starting to grow our own food in new ways, and more about farmers markets and what we can do at a community level, because these energies are drastically changing the world of import-export, of the global supply chain, of multinational corporations and agreements. All of that is drastically changing, and it's going to continue to change. It's part of what we're moving through that has a ripple effect, meaning you can go to the store right now and see things on the shelf, and that's because that food is what was harvested a year ago. But the food supply is changing, and there's some good videos even on YouTube about what is changing on the ground right now that farmers are aware of, but we're not going to see that play out for another year, because it takes at least a year or so for the crops that have been harvested to get to the stores and the shelves. So understand that there is basically a lot happening and changing at a ground level that we're not going to see play out for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. So with astrology, we can look at these themes and forecast the changes and then start planning accordingly now. So we know that our resources are changing at a ground level. Even if you don't see it on the store shelves yet, although I know you can see it in some places where some things are out of stock, they have limited quantities you can buy, the shelves are bare. Expect that to continue with these energies, and then redirect the energy to what is a next solution. What is a next opportunity? Where can I redirect this to be more in my power, and to understand that our earth is very abundant? What can I do to work with this? What can I do to make necessary changes in my life? And the more we can plan for it now and make the most of the opportunities now, the better prepared we'll be for the long run. So one way to positively work with this energy, Uranus conjunct the North Node, conjunct Mars, is that you might have a brand new way of living your life that feels more empowering, that really brings in more of what you want to create on your own terms, with more self-reliance and less of your energy being leaked or going out into places that no longer serve you. So not only does this relate to our everyday basic needs, but it relates to the bigger picture in your life of who is really on the same page in your world, where there are energies that have come together, or there's energies that are in a state of alignment that activates you, gives you a yes, gives you a sense of, I want this, I'm going for this. I mean, there's a lot here that can really give you clarity on what you desire and what you want. But at the same time, it's going to stir up changes and separation from anything that's not in alignment, anything you've outgrown. Essentially what I've been discussing in this podcast around what you need to leave behind so that you can really feel stronger in your sense of self, what you love, what you value, and what has meaning to you at this point in your own consciousness and in your own spiritual growth. And we're going to keep discussing this energy in the weekly Monday podcast episodes as we move through July and August. So I'll keep sharing more insights with you around this. And I wanted to give you this overview in part 1 and part 2 of this podcast topic, because it is important to look at where you're in your power, in your sovereignty, in your sense of trust, as well as not surrendering your connection to the good in the universe, the abundance in the universe, and the new possibilities that we can step into. So big changes are happening. There's going to be a lot that gets amplified and accelerated. We'll keep discussing that, but basically coming back into yourself and looking at what is true for you now is one of the best ways to work with this energy. Look at how you're ready to liberate yourself from something you've outgrown, you no longer need, it's too heavy, it's too much about where you've been and not connected to where you're going next. As always, I hope that there was something in this podcast episode that resonates with you, that supports you, that gives you understanding of what you're moving through. And I certainly hope that there is a clarity here that you're tapping into around how you can live your best possible life. And that is one of the energy signatures of Taurus. You want the best, you want good quality, you want to elevate, you want more of what is true for you. And that would be another way to work with this energy, especially July and August into March and April 2023. And that could be your driving intention, is to ask the universe, how can I improve my life? What can help me with my next steps? Where have I not stepped into more of my self-love, self-worth, and self-acceptance? Show me how to do so. And you may be surprised by what comes through, what shows up, what's activated, and how things can quickly manifest with this particular energy. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a joy to connect with you through this podcast episode. I will be back every Wednesday and Monday for another episode. In the meantime, you can find out more about me over at mollymccord.online. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And please check out my playlists on YouTube, as I have a ton of videos for you to help you understand more about your astrology chart, as well as more of these bigger energies that we're moving through right now. So I'll connect with you again very soon. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a beautiful day ahead.